Hello, and welcome to the Florida Nurse Practitioner, ranked as one of the best medical podcasts in Florida. This is the official podcast of the Florida Association of Nurse Practitioners, the premier APRN advocacy organization in Florida for all nurse practitioners. If you are not a member, you should be. Join today. Just go to flanp.org and click on the red box, Become a Member Today. Members get all kinds of perks, including discounted CEUs, including autonomous practice recertification CEUs, insurance discounts, free monthly CEUs, and plenty more. So join today and make your voice heard. Help us help you. We are here to support all APRNs in Florida to practice to our fullest ability of our education and elevate the APRN profession in Florida. I'm Paul Bond, APRN, your host for this show, and I want to thank you for listening to the show and helping make it one of the 10 best-ranked medical podcasts in Florida. And on today's show, anti-seizure medicines and cardiovascular events, heavy metals and cardiovascular events, and more. But first, some housekeeping. First, I want to start by saying the board again sends their thoughts and prayers out this time to those affected by the devastation from Hurricane Milton. This storm, as you all know, came through the center of Florida, straight across the state, and has affected many of our members. And our hearts go out to you and hope that you and yours have been safe and are safe from the storm and are doing well. Next, the 2025 FLANP conference planning is well underway still. Dates are set for April 30th to May 2nd. The theme for this coming year's conference is the 60th anniversary of our profession. The slogan will be Nurse Practitioners, 60 Years Burning Brightly and Shining Strong. More to come as it's made available, so save that date. We'll be in Central Florida again. So plan to come out and learn, network, and have a great time. And on the same line, the call for abstracts is now open. So get your ideas to us and let us know what you would like to present. No idea is out of bounds at this point. Some ideas we've received so far that people would like to see are diabetic care, women's health issues, billing and coding tips or tricks, and business skills. We're going to be running 2 tracks of presentations this year. One will be clinical and the other will be business. So put your ideas together and let us know. And our best-selling book, the Florida Nurse Practitioner Handbook, continues to get widely accepted as the go-to reference in Florida for nurse practitioners. Everything from licensure issues to scope of practice to autonomous nursing in Florida to employment issues is covered. We wrote this book in part because we field numerous questions every week on APRN practice issues. So while some people may say all you need to do is go to the Florida statutes or to the Board of Nursing's webpage and get your answers, this is in practice not the case. Add in that there are multiple statutes that may pertain to your question, and you can still spend hours or days researching for your answer, and you still may not come up with the right answer to your question. Our handbook does these hours of research for you, and we explain things in more detail and less legal jargon than the statutes do. Remember, state statutes are written by and for attorneys. Our book was written by and for nurse practitioners who are actually practicing in Florida. If you haven't gotten your copy yet, you should, or at least seriously consider it. It can save you hours of time just researching the law, and it may help steer you clear of meeting the Board of Nursing under less than ideal circumstances. It's available as a physical paperback book or a digital download, both on Amazon. So get yours today. And as I said on the last podcast, we have a new committee forming, the APRN Business Practice Ownership Committee. Do you own a practice or you're considering starting one? This committee is definitely for you. Contact the association for more information on how to join. And now for the news you can use. First up, 30 September 2024 from JAMA, Anti-seizure medications and cardiovascular events in older people with epilepsy. For this study, researchers used data from 27,230 participants in the ongoing Canadian Longitudinal Study of Aging, or CLSA, with 6 years of follow-up from 2015 to 2021. The CLSA includes adults age 45 to 85 and excludes residents of long-term care facilities and those with cognitive impairment, among others. Participants were included in this analysis if they reported no previous history of cardiovascular events, including stroke, TIA, or myocardial infarction at baseline. Mean age was 62.3, 52.4% were women, and 94.4% were white. In total, 431 people had a lifetime history of epilepsy. Of those included, 86% completed follow-up. They found new onset CVEs were more likely in those with epilepsy than those without, with the relative contribution of this association highest for strong for EIASM use, 24.6%. This class of drug includes carbamazepine, trileptal, phenobarbital, phenytoin, primidone, and topiramate. So something to be watchful for in your patients that may be on these medications. Next up, 18 December 2024, again out of JAMA, flavonoid-rich foods, dementia risk, and interactions with genetic risk, hypertension, and depression. This prospective population-based cohort study included dietary data from adults aged 40 to 70 in the UK Biobank, recruited between 2006 and 2010, with a mean follow-up of 9.2 years. The main outcome was incident all-cause dementia and interactions with genetic risk, hypertension, and depressive symptoms. In this cohort study, 121,986 UK Biobank participants, those with the highest adherence to a flavonoid-rich diet, especially intakes of tea, red wine, and berries, had a lower risk of dementia. Reductions were more pronounced in participants with a high genetic risk, hypertension, and depressive symptoms. And here again we see the impact of diet on health, this time a diet rich in flavonoids. What does this mean in practice? Well, dietary changes can have profound effects on long-term mental and physical health, as we've discussed many times before on the podcast. And as APRNs, we are perfectly positioned to use this information in our daily practice, helping our patients understand that making even small changes in their diets, adding, say, flavor-rich berries 3 or 4 times a week, or changing their beverage to caffeine-free tea, can have a positive impact. Of course, if you can teach them the benefits of something like the Mediterranean diet, that would be an even better option. But by making frequent, small, incremental changes, these can make big changes and big impacts on their health overall. And even discussing using appropriate nutritional supplements can help achieve this too, as some people don't really want to change their diets, but may be interested in supplementation to gain better health. And next up, 19 September 2024, from MedPage Today. Blood markers may help predict MS disease progression. Researchers presented their findings at the annual European Committee for Treatment and Research in Multiple Sclerosis meeting in Copenhagen, suggesting that blood biomarkers at disease onset may help predict relapse-associated worsening and progression independent of relapse activity in multiple sclerosis. Serum levels of neurofilament light, or NFL, a marker of axonal injury, predicted both relapse-associated worsening and PIRA-associated, according to the research. Researchers analyzed blood samples that were collected within 12 months of disease onset from 725 MS patients across 13 hospitals in Spain and Italy. Most participants, 70.2%, were women, and the median baseline age was 34.2. Higher serum NFL Z-score levels were associated with a 45% higher risk of relapse-associated worsening and a 43% higher risk of PIRA. NFL has gained traction as an MS biomarker in recent years. As a matter of fact, in March, a consensus panel of experts for the Consortium of Multiple Sclerosis Centers issued a guidance on NFL as a cerebrospinal fluid and blood biomarker in MS management. And next, from the 2024 October edition of the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, urinary metal levels and coronary artery calcification, longitudinal evidence in the multi-ethnic study of atherosclerosis. The authors hypothesized that higher urinary levels of non-essential cadmium, tungsten, and uranium, and essential cobalt, copper, and zinc metals previously associated with CVD would be associated with baseline and rate of change of coronary artery calcification, or CAC, progression, a subclinical marker of CVD in the MESA trial, or multi-ethnic study of atherosclerosis. They analyzed data from 6,418 MESA participants with spot urinary metal levels at baseline between 2000 and 2002, and a 1-to-4 repeated continuous measurements of CAC over a 10-year period. At baseline, the median CAC was 6.3. Comparing the highest to lowest quartile of urinary cadmium, CAC levels were 51% higher at baseline and 75% higher over the 10-year period. For urinary tungsten, uranium, and cobalt, the corresponding CAC levels over a 10-year period were 45%, 39%, and 47% higher respectively, with no difference for models with and without adjustment for clinical factors. For copper and zinc, the corresponding estimates dropped from 55 to 33% and from 85 to 57% respectively after adjustment for clinical factors. The associations of metals with CAC were comparable in magnitude to those for classical CVD risk factors. So it would appear that the allopathic medical community is, once again, catching up to what FM practitioners already have understood for years. At least certain essential and non-essential metals contribute to atherosclerotic disease. There are multiple ways to help eliminate these from the body, and this may be something you might think about researching to add to your practice. And next, 18 September 2024, from the Journal of the American Heart Association, Well-Being and Cardiovascular Health, Insights from the UK Biobank Study. Researchers conducted a cohort analysis using the UK Biobank dataset, encompassing 121,371 participants. They assessed well-being of participants using a well-being index derived from baseline questionnaires. Well-being categories were derived by latent class analysis using general happiness and satisfaction with family, friendships, health, and financial situations. The relationship between well-being and 4 major CVDs were analyzed. The study also examined the impacts of well-being on lifestyle factors and inflammatory markers, and its mediating role in the well-being CVD relationship. Their findings indicate that participants with greater well-being demonstrated healthier behaviors and lower levels of inflammatory markers, had lower CVD scores and problems. So here again, we as APRNs are perfectly positioned to take advantage of this information. Social support and general feelings of well-being are our domain. Psychosocial support, mental health, and lifestyle factors are all a part of the nursing assessment. We also have the tools to help teach people better, coping mechanisms, and to find community support programs to help those in need. So use this information to again help set yourself apart from other providers and make a difference in your patients' lives. And next 17 September 2024, from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, habitual coffee, tea, and caffeine consumption, circulating metabolites, and the risk of cardiometabolic multimorbidity. Cardiometabolic morbidity, or CM, is an increasing public health concern. Previous observational studies have suggested inverse associations between coffee, tea, and caffeine intake and risks of individual cardiometabolic diseases. However, their associations with CM and related biological markers have been unknown. This was a prospective study involving 172,315 for coffee analysis and 188,091 for tea and caffeine analysis. Participants free of any cardiometabolic disease at baseline from the UK Biobank. 168 metabolites were measured among 88,204 and 96,339 participants respectively. CM was defined as the coexistence of at least two of the following conditions: type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease, and stroke. Compared with non-consumers or consumers of less than 100 milligrams of caffeine per day, consumers of moderate amount of coffee, 3 drinks per day, or caffeine at 200 to 300 milligrams per day, had the lowest risk of new onset CM. Multi-state models revealed that moderate coffee or caffeine intake was inversely associated with risks of almost all development stages of CM, including transitions from a disease-free state to single cardiometabolic disease and subsequently to CM. A total of 80 to 97 metabolites, such as lipid components within very low density lipoprotein, histidine, and glycoprotein and acetyls were identified to be associated with both coffee, tea, or caffeine intake and incident CM. So here again, this study would appear shows that moderate consumption of coffee or tea is beneficial for cardiometabolic health. So drink up. And next, 16 September 2024, from the Lancet, food consumption by degree of food processing and risk of type 2 diabetes mellitus, a prospective cohort analysis of the European Prospective Investigation into Cancer and Nutrition, or EPIC. This was a prospective cohort analysis of the EPIC database. Dietary intake was associated at baseline using dietary questionnaires and classified according to the NOVA classification into unprocessed, minimally processed food, or MPF, processed culinary ingredients, or PCI, processed food, or PF, and ultra-processed food, or UPF. Type 2 diabetes mellitus cases were verified through multiple methods over an average of 10.9 years, follow-up of 311,892 individuals. 14,236 type 2 diabetes cases were identified. Each 10% increment in total daily food intake from UPF, or percentage grams per day, was associated with a 17% higher incident type 2 diabetes mellitus. Each 10% increment in MPF and PCI or PF intake was associated with lower incident of type 2 diabetes. So here again, dietary counseling can have a profound impact on long-term health. Help your patients understand that even making small changes in their diets, like cooking at home as opposed to eating out every day, can make a huge difference in their health. Helping them learn that cooking doesn't have to be hard, and giving them resources that educate them on this can greatly enhance their overall health, not just for diabetes, but for many other chronic conditions as well. And last September 2024, from the journal Nature, association between vitamin 2 intake and cognitive performance among older adults, a cross-sectional study from NHANES. The impact of vitamin B2 or riboflavin intake on cognitive performance among older adults in the United States remains inadequately understood. This study aimed to explore the association between vitamin B2 intake and cognitive performance among non-institutionalized elderly people in the U.S. A total of 2,893 individuals aged 60 or older were included, with a mean age of 69, and 46% were men. There was a significant association between vitamin B2 intake and all three cognitive scores. Moreover, vitamin B2 intake above the RDA reduced the risk of low cognitive performance compared to intake below the RDA. Dose response curves indicated that higher vitamin B2 intake was negatively associated with the risk of low cognitive performance. Physical activity may modify the association between vitamin B2 and cognitive performance, and vitamin B2 intake was positively associated with cognitive performance in older adults. Adequate vitamin B2 intake could help protect cognitive function, is what the outcome of this research suggested. So as you know, the B vitamins are water soluble, so supplementing them carries an overall low risk of negative side effects, and this may be an easy and economic way for you to help your patients boost or at least retain their cognitive functions as they age. As always, getting our nutrition from whole foods is the best way, but that may not always be available, and depending on the patient's preferences, they may not be willing to make these changes. This again falls directly into our domain as nurses, so use this information to help set yourself apart again from other providers. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks again to our listeners for making us one of the best medical podcasts in Florida. Don't forget to save the date for our next conference, which will be in the Orlando area again, April 30th to May 2nd. So save the dates and come out and join us for some fun networking and a lot of great education. And the call for abstracts again is open, so if you'd like to present at the conference, send us your ideas. Presenting is a great way to pad your resume and expand your career. Come impart your knowledge to help other APRNs be better at what we all do. For more information on both the conference and being a presenter, go to our website at flanp.org and follow the links. And don't forget to get your copy of the indispensable Florida Nurse Practitioner Handbook, on sale now at Amazon for both electronic and paperback purchase. As always, this is Paul Bond, APRN, for the Florida Nurse Practitioner Podcast, a presentation of the Florida Association of Nurse Practitioners, the premier organization for all APRNs in Florida, and the largest statewide APRN advocacy organization in Florida. Thanks for joining me today, and have a great day.